Hey there, angry faithful. I just wanted to drop in, bend your ear a little bit, get your attention. So if you're not listening, drop what you're doing and pay attention to me because I'm here to inform you that not only can you get your daily, maybe if you're binging it, I'm not sure, that's entirely up to you, but you can multiply your doses of angry me fuckery by paying attention to all of the platforms upon which you can find either the dulcet tones of my voice and David's voice or my pretty face and David's not so pretty face. Anyways, digressing, we not only we are on YouTube, we are on Spotify, we're on Rumble, we're on Google, Apple Podcast. We have a TikTok page. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and of course Facebook. So if you find yourself fuckery deprived, curl up with a nice hot mug of shut the fuck up and just listen. Open those ear holes and be prepared to be cream pied like it's the first time. Thanks for listening.
Welcome, Angry Faithful. Today on Psychos and Sociopaths. No, I got it. I'm going to use my
Okay.
Get your hands away from your buttons.
I got it. I'm up here.
Today we're
Look,
going to
mother,
go.
I washed for supper.
Now it's part two. We're not going to name this part two on our Psychos and Sociopaths. It's going to be
Part due.
part due, but it's going to be John Allen Muhammad and Lee Boyd Malvo.
Boyd Malvo, yes.
And that was the wrong one.
Right, that was the one. There we go.
Oh,
Look
yeah.
at that. David's playing with a new toy.
Yes. I got a new soundboard, and that's the reason why I sound pristine and great right now, because daddy had to spend a lot of money on this, but ended up really good. And I am so happy with it. Everything sounds really crisp. Everything, little bit extra stuff I got to learn on this. I love learning stuff.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that I love learning more stuff.
Yeah. In the meantime, what am I doing?
Dude, you're buying a house. You're buying.
Oh my. No, dude, I'm buying a house. And I'm trying to furnish this house. It's not now we've got existing furniture.
Okay.
We're gonna keep for a while. We're gonna hang on to it. I'm gonna steam clean it, stuff like that. But it's just like I'm sitting here going, I'm buying a house. I couldn't get a freaking credit card to save my life right now, but by God, I qualified for a home loan.
I did the same thing when I tried to buy my first house.
Isn't that like
I couldn't get a car, I couldn't get a credit card, but I could get a house.
Right, but isn't that like the ultimate in adulting? Like,
yeah,
4 years ago? 4 years ago. 4 years ago, coming up in October, dude, I separated from my ex-wife. And I am now out here. This is going to sound tacky, and I know, David, I've told you the story, but I'm out here living my best life, bro.
I know, right? You literally are. That's what's so great.
And to be completely and perfectly honest with you, bro, it scares the ever living crap out of me. I'm just sitting there going,
something's
oh my God.
Something is going to blow up.
No, it's not the fact that like things are going well and that something tragic's going to happen. So the way the universe is in balance somehow, it's more like, I myself didn't even remotely have any kind of like inclination that I would be in this position for at least another 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And, so over the course of the last year and a half, I meet this amazing woman. We date long distance, I mean, literally north end to the south end of the state, long distance, right?
Yeah.
And we make it work and we put everything together. We'll make all the puzzle pieces fit. Married for 3 weeks, and
Is it just
2.5, but it'll be 3 weeks on Wednesday. Anyway, not that I'm counting, but
I, no, I think it is 3 weeks.
it is. Yeah, it is 3 weeks. So yeah, it is 3 weeks because next week will be a full month. But
Mhm.
I'm just like sitting here going, my mind is just blown, right? And yeah, I'm beating my chest a little bit and boasting, but my God, with the way that the chips have been falling for me over the last 4 years,
Yeah. It's good
um,
to have. I mean, I'm I don't put myself out there as much because of the whole the it's I'll say it, it's actually just the fear of what's going to happen. And it's good to see other people have the same kind of problems that I had and overachieve on that. I'm like, maybe I can give that a chance. But
yeah,
it's also one of those things is I have to have like
a sense of humility and
no,
realism.
not that. I have to have a counsel to vent these women just to make sure I don't die on the next one.
And this is no homo, dude. This is me being very supportive of my friend. But you're an attractive guy.
I know this.
Sure. You have a very unique sense of humor,
Oh, dude. Oh man.
but on the whole, you know, um, no, man. I mean,
No,
I firmly believe that there's somebody out there for everybody.
yeah.
I mean, even if it's like, you got to go through a few relationships, and in my case, I had to go through 2 different marriages to, and I'm not disparaging my ex-wives at all, because that would be wrong. No, and to be completely honest, in all transparency, I'm actually, that's not the right sound.
I don't know these buttons.
Uh,
I,
I mean, it's like
I gotta no. What's really sad? It's
I'm not
late.
disparaging my ex-wives, right? No, it's not. And to be completely transparent, I'm actually really good friends with my first ex-wife. So,
She didn't do dirty. It was just
eh, yeah, well, but moving on from that subject, I don't think that it's going to be part of our angry faithful that woos you and causes you to, want to look for higher aspirations in life. But
it's
I think
probably
at
why.
the see, look, there's my wife. Say hi. Um, so
Okay,
no,
okay.
it just I know, and I'm gonna get off the soapbox here in just a
No, no,
second.
no, no. I want one thing. Get your wife and put her in the headsets.
Babe, your presence on the headset is required, or not required. It's been requested.
Request
Here,
it.
hop in the chair. Yeah, hop in the chair.
Hello?
This is what $700 sounds like. I got a new soundboard.
Oh, nice.
Look at this thing. Look at this thing.
Ah, that's
Yes.
pretty.
Yes. Yes. And it is super crisp.
It
I
sounds
love it.
crisp.
Yeah. It's has stupid technology where I don't have to do anything.
Good.
Yes. I just wanted to hear it. It's
Yeah, it sounds good.
even before we go into our stuff. So
Okay.
thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay. So,
Cutesy stuff.
but
Anyways, on
did
to
you just say juicy stuff?
cutesy stuff.
Oh, cutesy stuff. I was like, no, that is not anywhere near our definition or level of juicy. I'm just putting that out there, man. Because we have that license to practice, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so all right.
before we go
All right.
on to the thing, there's one more thing I did I did up at work today. One of my coworkers goes up to me. He was working next to me. He's like, "Hey Dave, I think so and so. I won't use their names. I think so and so is he's undressing me with his eyes." I was like, "Dude, is he giving you the rapey eyes?" That's even better. Yes, I think he's giving you the rapey eyes. I was like, "Let me go talk to him." So I go talking to him. I was like, "Hey, dude, so and so wants you to stop giving him the rapey eyes. Stop undressing him with your eyes, man. Just stop doing it." He's like, "No, no, I'm not going to do that." Okay, this is how it's going to go.
Like,
I'm pimping him
no,
out now.
dirty, naughty jungle of love. No.
and I was
I'm
like,
not a fish. I'm a man. I'm a Homo sapien. Did I say homo? What was that?
I love that movie. That's fake. That's great. No,
Nasty
what?
Nate.
Yeah.
666. Mark of the beast.
No, and then I go up to him. Then I go up to him. I was like, "Hey, dude, I hate to tell you this right now, but I talked to him. I talked to so and so." He's like, "Did you really?" I was like, "Yeah. Basically, I made $50 off you. Bathroom or we don't want the show here. So do whatever, or it can be afterward. But $50, I get my 20%. I know it doesn't sound like much to me, but I'll make sure you get your cut." I was like, "I'm not doing it." I was like, I started rubbing the back end of my hand. I was like, "I'm just warming this backhand up for you. I'm about to bitch slap you. I'll do both sides. Do both
Oh
sides."
my God.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, it's literally our first weekend.
Mm-hmm.
This was literally our Friday today, and I'm sorry for our listeners that you have to listen to all this stuff before we actually get the main stuff. But uh, it's our first weekend, but it's totally off for a whole month. So we didn't mess around. We still did our work and everything like that. And we were doing this as we worked.
Mm-hmm.
And but it was just one of those day vibes to where we knew we were this much ahead. We're still pushing out hard on our stuff, on our work, but uh we had a little bit of fun, like when we were about to get off work and everything like that, and before our breaks. But it was one of those things that we didn't do it like while we were working. We're just doing it to where
Right.
past a little bit of time before we go on break or something like that.
Yeah. I'm
But
going to
anyway,
spend this coming week soaking up as much time as I can with the kids because their mother is coming down here on the 7th to pick them up.
oh, you're
So,
doing the you're
well, for the initial one, yeah, because we were up there and we picked them up from her house. So I was like,
Yeah.
look, just to kind of even it out.
no,
and
no,
make
no.
it
I was
fair.
gonna mention you're gonna do the hey, this is where you're gonna have to pick them up if you have to.
Oh yeah, no. There's going to be something to do at the new place, so that's where she's going to have to pick them up.
Yeah.
So,
Anyways, let's get this started. We bored these people enough with our banter.
all right, you want me to go
We gotta-
first?
Yes. Well, no,
Okay.
I have to go first because the person I got was the person who initiated this, and we're going just I'm going, let me see here. Okay, we're gonna stop at I'm gonna stop at the civil case. That's not where we're going down. But I got a lot of read on this. Let's see if I can do it within 15 and 20 minutes. Okay. Now, the first one is going to be that we're going to go over is John Allen Muhammad. which early life, he was actually born John Allen Williams in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to Ernest and Evan Eva Williams. He and his family moved to New Orleans when his mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. Breast cancer. She died when he was only 3 years old. After his mother's death, his father's left. Williams was mainly raised by his maternal grandfather and aunt.
Mm-hmm.
In 1987, at the age of 27, he joined the National Islam. As a member of National Islam, Muhammad helped provide security for Million Man March in 1995. National Islam leader Louis Farrakhan
Farrakhan.
has publicly distanced himself as his organization from Muhammad's crimes. So basically, after the crimes and everything like that he did, the organization that John believes in, or Muhammad, just tossed him underneath the bus. They didn't want to have anything to do with him. Of course, I wouldn't either. I totally understand.
Well, I mean, you figure because Farrakhan's always talking about the white devil and everything like that, that they'd be like, yeah, we support this. I mean, it's not that they're saying that they sponsored him, but they support him.
Well, he actually
It's all fun and games until somebody loses an eye, and then it's just fun and games.
no, it's one of those things is John did not care who he killed. I mean, it looks bad on a group or organization that promotes
Well, I know. I'm just saying, if you're going to have so much hatred for one particular demographic in America, you might as well, stick to your convictions.
yeah.
And it just doesn't seem like they do. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
Muhammad kidnapped his children and took them to Antigua around 1999. Apparently engaged in credit card and immigration document fraud. It was during this time that he became close to Lee Boyd Malvoy, a
Malvo.
Jamaican Malvoy, Malvo, a Jamaican child who later acted as Muhammad's partner in the killings. Williams changed his name to John Allen Muhammad in October 2001. After his arrest, authorities also claimed that Muhammad admitted that he admired and modeled himself after Osama bin Laden and Al Qaeda, and approved the 2001 September 11 attacks. Malvo.
There you go. Bravo.
Malvo testified that Muhammad had indoctrinated him into believing that the proceeds of an extortion attempts be used to establish a camp in Canada where homeless children would be trained as terrorists. Muhammad was twice divorced. His second ex-wife, Mildred Muhammad, sought and was granted a restraining order alleging abuse. Muhammad was arrested on federal charges of violating the restraining order by possessing a weapon. Under federal law, those who with a restraining order and prohibited from purchasing or possessing guns, as per the Lettenberg Amendment.
Lautenberg.
Yeah, Lettenberg Amendment to the Gun Control Acts of 1968. Defense attorneys and Malvo's trial and prosecutors in Muhammad's trial argued that the ultimate goal of Beltway sniper murders was to kill Mildred in order to regain custody of the three children. Now, he actually did serve in military service, which he ended up starting out in August 1978. He enlisted in the Louisiana National Guard at Baton Rouge as a combat engineer. Just to let everybody know, combat engineers are basically...
if you say they're basically infantry, I'm going to come to that screen and hit you.
No.
Okay. I'm sorry. That got violent really quick.
That got violent before I even said anything. That's even worse.
Dude, you know how many times like MPs and combat engineers or even Cav Scouts are like, well, we're basically infantry. Like, no, you're basically a bitch. But anyways, digressing, I'm gonna shut up. You finish your side of the story. Go
Are you
ahead.
sure you want to?
I'm good. I'm
Are you
good.
sure?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. See? So quiet, it's even crickets.
I know. Combat engineers, they are basically they build bridges, they build bases, they also defend these bases. Uh, uh, there's all types. Army, it's combat engineers. Air Force, it's civil engineering. Navy has the
The
CBs,
CBs, yeah.
and I think Marines just have combat engineers. They're called combat engineers, or they use CBs also. But
Yeah,
he
I think they use
transferred.
the CBs, considering that's who signed the Marine Corps paychecks.
Yeah. Uh, he was transferred from to the regular army on November 6, 1985, and was trained as a mechanic, uh, truck driver, and special metal worker. He was qualified with the Army's standard rifle, the M16, earning the expert rifleman's badge. This is the Army's highest three levels of basic rifle marksmanship for a soldier.
Mhm.
Muhammad's first tour was with the 15th Engineering Battalion at Fort Lewis in 1985. In 1991, he served in the Gulf War with a company that dismantled Iraq's chemical warfare rockets, served for which he received a Southwest Asia Service Medal, a Kuwait Liberation Medal, and Kuwait Liberation Saudi Arabia and Kuwait Liberation Medal Kuwait. It's two different medals. Uh, in 1992, he was at Fort Ord, California, with the 13th Engineers in 1993, and was back at Fort Lewis, the 14th Engineer Battalion. Muhammad was honorably discharged from the Army with the rank of sergeant on April 24th, 1994, after 16 years of service. Now, we're not going to go into all the service medals that he had, uh, but as this is just saying of how much he actually was able to be a sniper. He never had the sniper training. There's a lot to
He
do.
basically just zeroed a scope. That's all he did. He was a
Yeah,
muggy on a gun.
and and we'll go over. I don't even think that he was in like a very far distance on a lot of his shots either.
Mm-mm.
Uh, and this is where we get the Beltway sniper attacks. Police follow a lead in which Muhammad and Malvo left a note at one of the shootings to tell the police to investigate a liquor store robbery murder that had occurred in Montgomery, Alabama. Uh, Investigators responding to that crime scene found one of the suspects had dropped a magazine with his fingerprints on it. These were subsequently identified as belonging to Malvo, whose prints were on the file at INS, which is basically National Service, who was also associated with Muhammad. They had lived together for a year in Tacoma, Washington, while Malvo used his alias John Lee Malvoy. Muhammad identification led to the discovery that he had purchased a former police car, a blue Chevy Caprice in New Jersey on September 11th, 2002. A lookout broadcast to the public on that vehicle resulted in the arrest of Muhammad and Malvo. When the car was spotted parked at a Interstate 70 rest stop in Myersville, Maryland. On October 24th, 2002, Muhammad was captured in Maryland, where most of the attacks and murders took place. Although Maryland sought him for the trial, U.S. Attorney General John Ashcroft reassigned the case to jurisdiction of Paul Ebert in the Commonwealth Attorney for Prince William County, Virginia. Virginia was viewed as more likely to impose the death sentence, which was borne out by the Virginia and Maryland verdicts. Virginia also allowed the death penalty for juveniles.
Mhm.
On October 2003, Muhammad went on trial for the murders of Dean Myers, the crime that had occurred in Prince William County near the city of Manassas.
Manassas.
Manassas? Is it Manassas?
Yeah, it's Manassas.
Virginia. The trial, Manassas. Sorry. The trial.
Play that sound.
Nope.
Oh wow! No, that's going
Nope.
horribly off the rails. Yeah, you're gonna have to
There
finger
we go.
that soundboard,
Yes.
bud.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
don't be
I had
square
to label
parts.
them.
So confused by it.
No, I found it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Go for it.
After 4 or 5. No, it was 1, 2, 3, 8 attempts. The trial had been moved to Prince William County to Virginia
Beach.
Virginia Beach, approximately 200 miles away. Muhammad was granted the right to represent himself in his self-defense and dismiss his legal counsel, though he immediately switched back to having a legal reputation after his opening argument. That this is what I don't understand with a lot of criminals. There's a lot of criminals that actually do represent themselves, and some of them actually learn the law and everything like that in their second appeal.
Yeah.
But on the first one, there's certain some people that think they're so smart that they can talk themselves out of it.
Well,
and
that's because they
don't.
fancy themselves to be Ted Bundy.
Yeah. He was charged with murder, terrorism, conspiracy, and the legal use of a firearm and faced a possible death sentence. Prosecutors said the shootings were part of a plot to extort $10 million from local and state governments, in which we covered in the last episode that he kept on saying that he's going to start killing children at schools unless they paid him $10 million, which it's
That's such a baller move, though.
it.
I mean, not to glorify the guy, but I mean, he's like, "You that pay me, or the children will die." You know what I mean? That sounds so.
It
I
was
don't
a
even want
bitch
to say
move.
baller, man.
In my opinion, it was a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bush league move. You're pulling kids into it, but I'm like, bro.
Yeah. Anyways, the prosecution said that they would make the case for 16 shootings allegedly involving Muhammad. The terrorist charge against Muhammad required prosecutors to prove that he committed at least 2 of these shootings in a 3-year period. The prosecution called more than 130 witnesses, introducing more of 400 pieces of evidence intended to prove Muhammad undertook the murders and ordered Malvoy to help carry it out. Evidence included a rifle found in Muhammad's car that was linked by ballistic test to 8 of the 10 killings in Washington area and 2 others in Louisiana and Alabama. The car, which was modified so that a sniper could shoot from inside the trunk, a laptop computer also found in the car that contained maps and icon pinpoints of shooting scenes. Witnesses account, but put Muhammad across the street from one of the shootings in his car near the scene of several others. There was also a recorded phone call to the police hotline in which a man, his voice identified a detective as Muhammad, demanded money in exchange for stopping the shootings. Muhammad's defense asked the court to drop the capital murder charge because there was no direct evidence. Malvoy's fingerprints were on the Bushmaster rifle and in Muhammad's car, and the DNA from Muhammad was discovered on the rifle. But the defense content that Muhammad could not be put to death under Virginia triggerman law. Ooh, I want to learn that one. We're gonna do that after we.
No, the trigger man law.
Yeah, I'm gonna after while you're doing your stuff, unless
Mhm.
he actually pulled the trigger to kill Myers, and nobody testified that they saw him do so. On November 17th, 2003, Muhammad was convicted of all 4 counts in the indictment against him: capital murder for the shootings of Myers, capital murder under Virginia anti-terrorism statute for homicide committed with an intent to terrorize the government or in public at large, conspiracy to commit murder, and the illegal use of a firearm. And the penalty phase of the trial, the jury, after 5 hours of deliberation over 2 days, a unanimous recommendation that Muhammad be sentenced to death. On March 9th, 2004, the Virginia judge agreed with the jury recommendation and sentenced John Allen Muhammad to death. On April 22nd, 2005, the Virginia Supreme Court affirmed the death penalty, stating that Muhammad could be sentenced to death because the murder was part of an act of terrorism. The court also rejected an argument by a defense lawyer that he could not be sentenced to death because he was not a triggerman in the killings. See, this is more or less the Ted Bundy approach.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
he's
not
like,
Ted
I
Bundy,
didn't
but
actually do it.
Charles
Yeah,
Manson. Charles Manson.
yeah, Charles Manson. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's one of those. That's the whole reason why he recruited Malvo, and I think that everybody caught on to that. So, especially
Well,
the judges.
it's the same thing of Osama bin Laden. He did not do September 11th attacks, but he planned them. He ignited the fuse to get all this stuff to go.
Mhm.
That's reason why we wanted him dead, because he was the mastermind of the whole thing. And
And we put one in his forehead.
we put about 3 or 4. I mean,
And
yeah,
discovered that he had, of all things, American porn on his laptop computer.
yeah.
How's that for your Messiah?
Virginia Supreme Court Justice Donald W. Lemons said at the time, we calculate with calculations, extensive planning, premeditation, and ruthless disregard for life, Muhammad carried out his cruel scheme of terror. In May 2005, Maryland and Virginia reached an agreement to allow his extradition to face Maryland charges. He was held in maximum security at Sussex State Prison, where Waver, Sussex County, Virginia, which housed Virginia's male death row inmates. In August 2005, while waiting execution in Virginia, he was extradited. Oh man, this word. Extradited to Montgomery County, Maryland, to face charges there. On May,
I'm so proud of you.
I know. The caffeine's finally hitting. That's the reason why I was able to do that. Thank you, Black Rifle Coffee. On May 30th, 2006, a Maryland jury found Muhammad guilty of 6 counts of murder. He was sentenced to 6 consecutive life terms without possibility of parole. June 1st, 2006. Neither Alabama, Arizona, Louisiana, nor Washington moved to try Muhammad, given his death sentence for the murder of Virginia. In 2006, Malvo confessed that the pair also killed 14 victims in California, Arizona, and Texas. On May 6, 2008, it was revealed that Muhammad asked prosecutors to a letter to help him end legal appeals of his conviction and death sentence so that you can murder this innocent black man. Oh, race card, trying to play that one.
Yeah.
Uh,
See that.
and appeal filed by Muhammad defense lawyer in April 2008 cited evidence of brain damage that would rendered Muhammad incompetent of making legal decisions, and that he should not have been allowed to represent himself in his Virginia trial. On September 16th, 2009, Prince William County Circuit Court Judge Mary Grace O'Brien set Muhammad's execution date for November 10th, 2009. On November 9th, 2009, Muhammad's petition to review his death sentence was denied by the U.S. Supreme Court. Justice John Paul Stevens, joined by Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sonia Sotomayor,
Sotomayor.
wrote a
Sorry.
separate option stating that Virginia's rush to set the execution date highlights once again the preservation of executing inmates before their appeal process has been fully concluded, while noting that they concerned with the decision that the appeal ought to not to be heard. What the hell? Okay. They were
So
upset.
basically, they were like, okay, this is just nothing more than a state trying to expedite the death penalty without giving the inmate or the condemned the ability to exhaust all of it.
Yeah, but they
But
still
we agree with their decision because, yeah, it's like, okay. Well,
it's
so
just- yeah, this
they
is
wanted
this-
to throw out their left wing talking points and still get their jabs in.
yeah, it's one of those things that's exactly what it is, and it's really sad that they did. This guy should have been put on an express line, like Texas.
Yeah, bring him to Texas. We got one.
Yeah. While noting that they concurred with the decision that the appeal. Okay, I'll be heard. We're not going to go over the civil case because blah blah blah. And now we're going to go with Lee Boyd Malvoy. Go ahead and take it.
Okay. All right. Let's see.
While you
Alright,
do that, I'm
Lee
gonna look up.
Boyd Malvo with an O. Born February 18th of 1985, known also as John Lee Malvo. He was convicted along with John Allen Muhammad. He was part of the Beltway Snipers in the Washington metropolitan area. It was a 3-week period in October 2002. He was 17 during the span of the shootings. He's currently serving multiple life sentences at the Red Onion State Prison in Virginia at a supermax. With his cohort and brainwasher, well, I don't want to say brainwasher. His cohort was executed via lethal injection in 2009. Thank you for pointing that out to me, or to not to me, but to everybody, David. Yay. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Although their actions were classified by the media as psychopathic, attributed to serial killer characteristics, researchers have debated whether their psychology met with this classification or that of a spree killing. So I honestly think that the more people look at this, especially with the way that academia has been overrun, especially with the ice cream social, everybody gets a participation trophy mentality here as of late. They're going to continue. I mean, they're going to go in and they're going to try to pick apart everything, and they're going to try to make it look. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I was listening on I think it was Dragging Bros today, and this is an interesting little tidbit. It's a smart business plan though, because if you own the trophy shop that everything's made out of and everything like that, I would totally go with it too. It's an interesting concept because I know what was it? Who's the owner of Dallas Mavericks?
Oh, Mark Cuban.
Yeah, Mark Cuban actually owns part of a trophy company, and they're like super big now because of all that stuff. But anyways, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So, but kind of, I think that you call it what it is. It was a spree killing, serial murderer, tendencies. They had an MO.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So his life before Muhammad. Lee Boyd Malvo was born on February 18th, 1985, to Leslie Malvo, a mason, and Una James, a seamstress. The couple who were never married lived in Kingston, Jamaica. Una James left Leslie Malvo in 1990 when Lee Malvo was 5. Now, James and Malvo moved to the hill town of Endeavor, Jamaica, to be with her sister Marie Lawrence for almost a year. Um, they moved back to Kingston later, and then later to St. Martin. When Malvo was 9, he was sent to live with his Aunt Marie, where he stayed for almost a year. In 6th grade, Malvo did so well on an entrance exam that he was sent to York Castle High School. Now, Jamaican pastor Lorenzo King baptized Malvo in the Seventh day Adventist Church at 14 years of age in 99. Malvo later moved to Antigua in 99 to be with his mother. He registered at Antigua and Barbuda Seventh day Adventist school, where he got good grades and also won a school award in the 100-meter run. Now, Malvo and his mother, Una Secon James, first met John Allen Muhammad in Antigua and Barbuda around 99. Huh? No, no. Okay. Um, that's why an office is going to be so nice. Not saying that I was being bothered, but I had to stop. I was on a pretty good roll. Um, like, oh, you're such a dickhead. You talk about people that way. I didn't talk about anybody. So slow your roll. I'm your tits. Akuna your tatas. Did I say that? No, too late. Already did. Nanny nanny boo boo. All right, so um anyways. It's been a long day. All right, so um she left her son okay, so James and Muhammad developed a strong friendship. Later, James left Antigua for Fort Myers, Florida, using false documents. So she became over illegally. She left her son with Muhammad, reportedly planning to have him follow her later. Malvo was converted to Islam by Muhammad in March of 2001. Now, Muhammad also isolated Malvo from his mother. Um, Malvo arrived illegally in Miami in 2001, and in December of that year, he and his mother were apprehended by the Border Patrol in Bellingham, Washington. In January of 2002, Malvo was released on a $1,500 bond. He subsequently lived in a homeless shelter with Muhammad in Bellingham. Now, he enrolled in the Bellingham High School with Muhammad falsely listed as his father. He did not make any friends, according to his classmates. While in the Tacoma, Washington area, according to his statements to investigators, Malvo shoplifted a Bushmaster XM15 from Bullseye Shooter Supply and practiced his marksmanship on the Bullseye firing range adjacent to the gun shop. Boy, that is some balls right there, right? You're going to steal a damn gun and you're going to go to their range and practice with it, right? Um, Under federal laws, neither Muhammad nor Malvo were legally allowed to purchase or possess guns with both uh, uh, legally purchase or possess guns, with both classified as prohibited persons under the Gun Control Act of 1968. Now, he was initially arrested under federal charges, but they were dropped. He was transferred to Virginian custody and sent to jail in Fairfax County. He was charged by the Commonwealth of Virginia for 2 capital crimes: the murder of FBI analyst Linda Franklin in the commission of the act of terrorism, and the murder of more than one person in a 3-year period. He was also charged with the unlawful use of a firearm in the murder of Franklin. Initially, Fairfax attorney Michael Arif was appointed to represent him along with Thomas B. Walsh and Mark J. Petrovich. Later, prominent Richmond attorney Craig Cooley was appointed to the team and assumed a leadership role. Malvo, while in jail, recorded a confession uh, uh,
Sorry, my
to
dog.
Detective Samuel Walker, in which he stated that he intended to kill them all. Due to extensive pretrial publicity around the entire Washington area, and this is the metro area, D.C. area, a change of venue was granted. The trial was more than 150 miles was moved more than 150 miles to Chesapeake, Virginia. Malvo pled not guilty by reason of insanity to all the charges on the grounds that he was under Muhammad's complete control. Now, one of Malvo's psychiatric witnesses testified that Muhammad, a member of the Nation of Islam, had indoctrinated him into believing that proceeds of an extortion attempt would be used to begin a new nation of only pure black young persons somewhere in Canada. During the trial, Cooley said that violent video games had contributed to significantly to Malvo's state of mind and his willingness to commit murder. I hate that argument. That is such crap.
Well, they always do.
It's a straw man. It's
Yeah.
just it's a misdirect. I mean, when at the root of the problem, I think a lot of the I think a lot of the issues in this country, period, could be fixed if parents would just do their jobs and whip their kids' asses every once in a while.
Well,
Ain't
okay.
nothing wrong with a belt or a paddle. Make your kids go out and pick a switch. Anyways,
No, okay. Here's the thing on stuff like that. Working as a correctional officer, and this is not going against anything of other responders or anything like that. But working as a correctional officer, I did see a lot of the times that inmates, and I started seeing this with other people, that they literally don't want to blame themselves. And if you listen to a lot of the criminals that we actually covered on this, a lot of the serial killers and murderers and stuff like that, they're always blaming somebody else. It was someone else's fault. It wasn't my fault. I am a victim. Everybody wants to be the victim. Nobody wants to.
nobody in prison ever did what they were being accused of.
And it was so hard because, like, even when it's like when I was doing what we call in and out. Basically, they're going in, they're getting their stuff, they're coming back out to go in the day room and enjoy the rest of everybody else, or they're going in to do whatever. If an inmate needed to go to the restroom, they didn't want to use the public restroom. They wanted to go in and come back out, which I'm fine with that. I'll come back around and do that. But the thing about it is every time they would ask me for anything, they would give me an explanation, even though I said yes. I was like, and literally half the time they were like talking to me. I was like, I just said yes. Why are you still talking? Get to your freaking cell. And they were like, they'd be confused because, you know, it's one of those things they have to explain themselves. Reason why they want this, reason why I want that.
Yeah. Like
And
I was denied this, I was denied that. Like, oh no, there's always an excuse. And you know just as well as I do, the maximum effective range of an excuse is 0. So
yeah, especially with people like us. It's I'll listen to the excuse and was like, okay, are you done with that? Yeah, no, or whatever.
yeah. All right. So well, they stated he's trained and desensitized with video games, computer games, to train to shoot him or to, trained him to shoot human forms over and over. Psychologist Lawrence Kuttner and Cheryl Olson, however, argue in their book Grand Theft Childhood that other factors were much more significant. In court, Lee Malvo admitted that he trained by shooting a real gun at paper plates that represented human heads. Also, Malvo had a long history of antisocial and criminal behavior, including torturing small animals, of one of the best predictors of violent or future violent criminal behavior. December 18th of 2003.
I love the
After
name
nearly
of that book.
Yeah, Grand Theft Childhood. Yeah, exactly. On December 18th of 2003, after nearly 14 hours of deliberation, a jury convicted Malvo of both charges. Now, on December 23rd, the jury recommended a life sentence in prison without the possibility of parole. On the 10th of March in 2004, Malvo was sentenced to life in prison without parole. However, the life sentence was overturned in 2016 when Virginia abolished life without parole for juveniles. Now, on October 26th of 2004, under a plea bargain to avoid possible death penalty, Malvo entered in an Alford plea. Now, an Alford plea is in U.S. law. It's also called a Kennedy plea in West Virginia. An Alford guilty plea And the Alford Doctrine is a guilty plea in criminal court whereby a defendant in a criminal case does not admit to the criminal act and asserts innocence, even though but admits that the evidence presents a pretty strong case to the contrary, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, he was just pleading the fifth, so to speak, even though he knew he was screwed anyway. So the charges of murdering Kenneth Bridges and attempting to murder Carolyn Sewell while Malvo was in Spotsville County, Virginia. He also pled guilty to 2 firearms charges and agreed not to appeal his conviction for the murder of Franklin. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole for murder, plus 8 years imprisonment for weapons charges. One Virginia prosecutor in Prince William County had stated that he would wait to decide whether to try Malvo on additional capital charges in his jurisdiction until the U.S. Supreme Court ruled on whether juveniles may be subject to execution. Now, in light of the March 1st, 2005 Supreme Court decision in Roper versus Simmons, that the Eighth Amendment prohibits execution for crimes committed when under the age of 18. Now, the prosecutors in Prince William County decided not to pursue the charges against Malvo. Now, prosecutors in Maryland, Louisiana, and Alabama were still interested in putting both Malvo and Muhammad on trial. Now, as Malvo was 17 when he committed the crimes, he can't face the death penalty, but may still be extradited to Alabama, Louisiana, and other states for prosecution. At the outset of the Beltway sniper prosecutions, the primary reason for extraditing the 2 suspects from Maryland when they were arrested to Virginia was the differences in how the 2 states deal with the death penalty. While the death penalty was allowed in Maryland, it applied only to persons who were adults at the time of their crimes, whereas Virginia has allowed the death penalties for offenders who had been juveniles when their crimes were committed. Now, death sentence was more likely to result in execution in Virginia than in Maryland, which abolished its death penalty in 2013. Now, in May 2005, Virginia and Maryland reached an agreement to allow Maryland to begin prosecuting some of the pending charges there, and Malvo was extradited to Montgomery County, Maryland, under heavy security. June 6th, 16th of 2006, Malvo told authorities that he and Muhammad were guilty of the 4 additional shootings in 2002. A man killed in Los Angeles, California during a robbery in February or March, a 76-year-old man who survived the shooting on May 18th at a golf course in Clearwater, Florida, and a man shot to death while doing yard work in Denton, Texas, May 27th and
Jesus, that's really close to our home.
yeah, and a 54-year-old John Gaeta, who survived being shot on August 1st during a robbery outside a shopping mall near Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And on October 10th, 2006, Malvo pled guilty to the 6 murders he was charged with in Maryland. And on October 26th, he told the police that he and Muhammad had killed Jerry Taylor, 60, as Taylor practiced chip shots at a Tucson, Arizona golf course in March 2002. Now, Tucson detectives interviewed Malvo about Taylor, who died from a single gunshot fired at long range, but did not disclose their findings. On November 8th, Malvo was sentenced to 6 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole.
Yeah, we're not going over the civil suit or
No, I'm not.
That's
I'm going
not-
to post sentencing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, as of 2014, he's still incarcerated at Red Onion State Prison as a Virginia Department of Corrections inmate. His inmate number, in case you want to put money on his books, is 1180834. Now, on October 2nd, 2007, Malvo called a daughter of one of the victims, Cheryl Witz, to apologize for his actions. He sent a letter dated February 21st, 2010, to apologize to John C. Gaeta for shooting him. Malvo wrote, "I'm truly sorry for the pain I've caused you and your loved ones. I was relieved to hear that you suffered no paralyzing injuries and that you are alive." Excuse me. A Wise County, Virginia circuit judge denied Malvo's request to change his name on July 29th, 2011. He petitioned the court for the name change on the basis that it would be safer if his fellow inmates did not know his real name due to his notoriety. In September 2012, Malvo gave a lengthy interview to the Washington Post. Now, in this interview, Malvo, then 27, stated that I was a monster. If you look up the definition of what a monster is, I was a ghoul. I was a thief. I stole people's lives. I did something else, did someone else's bidding just because they said so. There is no rhyme or reason or sense. In an interview with Matt Lauer on October 24th, 2012, poor Maurer got the boot for being a creeper. Um, Malvo said that John Muhammad sexually abused him. On May 26th, 2017, a federal district court judge in Virginia overturned Malvo's sentences of life without parole on the grounds that it was unconstitutional under Miller versus Alabama because Malvo was 17 years old at the time of the killing. However, on August 16th, 2017, Montgomery County, Maryland Circuit Court Judge Robert Greenberg decided that the Virginia federal court ruling did not apply to the Maryland cases since the sentences were not mandatory in the state of Maryland. Greenberg wrote, quote, the 6 consecutive life without parole sentences were imposed after a full consideration of defendant's physical, mental, and emotional state. He went on to state that the judge who imposed the original sentence considered all the relevant factors at play, and the plain import of his words at the time was that the defendant is, quote, irreparably corrupted. Sounds like a lot of back and forth. Liberal judges
Yeah.
versus conservative originalists, things like that. Now, on June 21st of 2018, the United States Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit unanimously upheld a lower court's decision that Malvo's sentences of life without parole were unconstitutional. Now, Judge Paul Nehmeyer wrote the decision that Malvo was 17 years old when he committed the murders, and now he has the retroactive benefit of new constitutional rules that treat juveniles differently for sentencing. Spokeswoman for Virginia Attorney General Mark Herring stated the office is considering for a full Fourth Circuit rehearing or appealing to the Supreme Court of the United States to hear the case. Now, on June 29th, 2018, Virginia Attorney General Mark Herring said in a statement that his office was seeking to have the Supreme Court of the United States review the case. And on March 18th of 2019, Supreme Court granted certiorari. Now, we discussed what that was last week, and he heard the case on October 16th of 2019. And on February 24th of 2020, Malvo asked the Supreme Court to dismiss his appeal as moot after a change in the Virginian state law that made him eligible for parole in that state. The law change made any person sentenced to life as a juvenile and who has served 20 years in prison eligible to be considered for early release. Now, Malvo will become eligible for parole consideration in Virginia this year. His life sentences in Maryland are not affected, but he is now trying to appeal those sentences as well, which I would think kind of goes against that plea deal that he took, right?
Yeah. It's also one of those things that depending on what the state, because some of the other states decided to not do anything on the case, but
But
there's still
now,
other cases that he still, I mean, murder charges don't go away.
now, March 10th of 2020, Malvo's advisor, Carmeta Alburas, announced Malvo was married in a ceremony held at Red Onion State. I wonder who the lucky guy was. In April 2000, I'm sorry. April 2021, Maryland banned life sentences for juveniles. Malvo sued for relief, and the Maryland Court of Appeals agreed to review. Oral arguments began in February 2022, and a decision is expected by June of this year, which
I'm
that
looking it up
should
right
have
now.
already passed. Yeah. I wonder what happened with that.
Uh, Okay. I found it. Luckily, I found it fast. Maryland's highest court reviewing the teen sniper life term has agreed to take up the case of Lee Boyd Malvoy, who
Malvo.
Malvo Bo,
There you go.
who is serving life sentence in prison as his role of the 2002 sniper. The lawyers argued that his punishment goes against the 2012 Supreme Court ruling barring mandatory life sentence without parole for juveniles offenders. Mavo should benefit from Maryland's new law enabling prisoners convicted as juveniles to seek release once they've served 20 years, which we already covered. Yeah, he's serving 6 life sentences.
Yeah.
For,
You know, I really hope he gets denied those paroles, but
yeah, we
hey,
still don't have any. It just goes on,
you
and
can almost guarantee though that if he
saying the
does
same
get
thing. They
granted
don't have anything.
parole, that he is going to be he's not going to be a popular man.
No, especially
well, I don't
if
know.
he can prosecute.
Given the liberal mindset of people nowadays, I mean, they may welcome with him open arms and tell him that he did God's work or something like that. But all that aside, yeah, I'm pretty good with this episode right now. Besides that, my dinner's here, and I am hungry.
Yeah, we've actually gone on for an hour.
Yeah. So,
But anyways, I don't know. I think we got everything that we needed to say through, so we don't have to do a part 3.
yeah. Next week we'll hash out who we're gonna do next week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a guest sitting in with me. My oldest stepson. He's gonna sit in. Uh, I'm gonna have to figure out how to get him a headset so he can hear what the hell's going on. But yeah, man.
You can use a splitter. They're like,
That's right. I can
fine.
use a splitter, and I've
$5.
got one floating around here somewhere.
Yeah. But
So,
anyways, I'm David Dickerman,
I'm Johnny Skelton.
and this is Psychos and Sociopaths, the DC Snipers episode part 2, which will be called Lee Boy Malvo and John Allen Muhammad.
Actually, you know what? Let's just call it Sniper Profiles or Sniper DC Profiles.
Okay, Sniper DC Profiles. Thank you all for listening and sticking with us for so long, and hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week until we see you or hear you or comment or whatever next time.
Yeah, until we read your comments again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Victory!